Hey guys, good morning. I wanted to go over your assignment for today and talk to you a little bit about podcasts. So, first of all, if you come over to It's Learning, this is what pops up today on Wednesday. So, I've got this linked directly for you, and this is what you should look at first. And it's going to take you to the actual assignment on podcasts. Now, when you open it, and I did put a note in here about how to use the Zoom tool, when you open this, I'm going to click show, it's going to look like this. And I realize this is maybe, especially when you get to this portion of it, that might be too small for you to see. So I wanted to show you where the zoom tool was, and it's right here in the toolbar on Google Slides. So if you need to click right here to zoom in, feel free to do that. You can just have to select it, and I'll show you again. If you want to zoom out, if you make it too big or whatever, you can zoom out, and it does it for you. But if it's got that little magnifying glass, and anytime you click, it's going to zoom for you, okay? So that's the trick for that. And then just make sure that when you've got it as large as you need to, you just come back over to the select tool so you're not zooming again when you click. Okay, so what you're going to be doing is listening to the first 7 minutes only. You're welcome to listen to more of it, but you only need to listen to the first 7 minutes of this podcast. And it's going to take you to the website where you can listen to the podcast. And I will just take that to you now. Take you with me. And it pops up right on the episode. So what you'll do is you'll click play. You're welcome to download it if you want to, but you can just click play. Now, if this is not opening well, if you're listening on your phone, you can always go to podcasts or look it up separately through however you get podcasts. There's various ways to do it. You can get it on Spotify. I get mine via the podcast app on my iPhone, and I'll show you that in a minute too, how to navigate that if you have a Mac product or an Apple product, an iPhone. So you're going to listen again to the first 7 minutes, and here's where you navigate down here. As you're listening, you're going to come over to your assignment that you should have open, and you're going to fill in this first worksheet for that first 7 minutes, okay? So there's 3 questions on here. What is the inciting incident? What is your prediction about a part of the story? And then what is the climax or point of no return? And again, just to reiterate, you only need to fill this out about the first 7 minutes of that episode, okay? You don't need to listen any farther than that, although you're welcome to if you want to, but these 3 questions are only about those first 7 minutes. Okay, after you've finished listening to that first 7 minutes, then you're going to come over back to your instructions, and number 3 is to select any other criminal podcast to listen to in full. So you're going to pick the one that you can choose any of them, and fill out the second worksheet, which is here. What you're going to be listening for are really techniques. So in any sort of voiceover or like podcasting type of media, the voice becomes, and the music and the sound techniques, it's so important. That's all you have, right? You're just listening. So it's really important that, you know, who you're listening to has a pleasing voice, and the musical effects and other kind of sound techniques are on point. So that's the first thing you're going to fill out. The second thing is the pace, tone, voice, and other speaker techniques. So this really talks about voice here. I guess up here we were just talking about sound or music, but here think about the mood. Think about what kind of tone is the speaker trying to establish with the story, and the pace. Is it slow pace? Is it fast pace? Does it keep you on the edge of your seat? And if it doesn't, put that, you know, that's important to know too. And then finally, how does the speaker or the storyteller create imagery or mood or other kind of author's craft techniques? So how are they telling that with their voice as opposed to, you know, you reading it out loud? Now, how to choose a podcast. So I have some suggestions here. And just please note, the criminal podcasts are like very much PG for the most part, but there's an occasional interview that happens where the interviewee will use a bad word or some foul language. There's also, like, just the nature of the podcast, there are some more episodes that are more violent, like about crimes that are more serious. And some of them are just like really, like, some of them are totally different and are funny, but you just have to look, and there's always going to be, if it's anything that is mature content, there's going to be a warning. So please just pay attention to those. I've suggested some here that are very clean. And the first one is Kids on the Case, and it's about a high schooler who solves an actual crime. And it's really lighthearted, but also like a nice one to listen to. And it's episode 147. The other one I listened to or I listed is also pretty lighthearted, and it's How to Sell a Haunted House. And that's episode 145. Now these next two, I try to feature a Black History episode. This one's called The Numbers, and it's really interesting. It's about a lottery, kind of like a lottery system that was in the Black community in the 1950s and 60s, and it's episode 108. And then the next one I wanted to feature an LGBTQ kind of focused episode. So if you're interested in that, you might want to listen to The Lavender Scare, which is a historical kind of podcast, but it's really, really interesting. I think this is probably my favorite one. I think it's just a really compelling story. They interview a woman who served in the military, and she tells her story. So that's episode 93. So again, you can choose any of these, or you can choose a completely different one, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So if you're here on the first episode that you listen to, that first 7 minutes, you can go up to, if you just want to browse episodes and look at different ones, you can go to episodes here. And this, there's all kinds of episodes. They're all just so interesting, you guys. This is one of my favorite podcasts. This is about Dr. Parkman is Missing, is about body snatching and like people in the 1800s or 1700s, I think, how people would like illegally snatch bodies, which is in Boston, which I found really interesting, but it's about a particular doctor that goes missing. There's that, Kids on the Case. If you're interested in kind of like stories about police violence and things like that, Knock and Announce, it does have some, I think, bad language, so just be careful about that one. And I'm just going to double check. I believe that there is going to be some kind of a warning if that's true. You might have to actually listen, like click on it and listen to the first little bit, but they usually warn you if there's going to be any kind of bad language. There's the haunted house one. There's just all kinds of different ones with the original artwork, and you can see many, many more if you want to load more. Now, how to find specific ones? Usually you go up to the magnifying glass here, and if you wanted to find there's a really cool one about sharks that's kind of funny. You can just go up and hit shark. And it's a whole episode about sharks as criminals, which is it's lighthearted and funny. So that's how you find episodes. You can also enter an episode number. Like I'm just gonna pick a random one. Let's go with 54. And in episode number 54 will come up, and I guess 154, 254, etc. So if you are curious about that, you can also find them that way. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful in explaining how to do your assignment for today, and let me know if you have any questions.